It is the size of a major American city. It has already cost the state of California $27 million, and as of this evening, it is only 20% contained. The massive rim wildfire is burning hotter and faster than any in the modern history of the Sierra Nevada region, which includes Yosemite National Park. The fire is so big, it's visible from space, as seen here in this NASA photograph. The smoke and ash produced by the 200-square-mile blaze prompted San Francisco to temporarily shut down hydroelectric stations for fears the city's drinking water could become contaminated. NBC's Miguel Almaguer viewed this unrelenting force of nature from 10,000 feet above.
It's roughly 230 square miles, bigger than the size of the city of Chicago. And all along these ridges, we can see more spot fires. There's no doubt this fire is growing. It's certainly quickly on the move. And you can see from the fuel load down here, there is just hundreds of thousands of acres that can still burn.
And we're actually going to make our way down to the south side for better visibility. It looks like everything's blown up to the north.
This fire has been burning for about a week and a half, and there's no doubt this fire could burn for weeks longer.
All right, let's go, Ronnie.
Crews may not be able to access so much of this terrain down there. It is very rugged, it is very rocky below, and from the air here, you get that unique perspective. You can understand why they can't drop firefighters into the burn zone. If they put crews down on the ground down there, there's nowhere that they would be able to run. There are no escape routes. So on this flank of the fire, they simply have to attack it from the air. The DC-10 is one of the biggest assets crews have on the ground. This plane can drop nearly 12,000 gallons of fire retardant. It can stop flames dead in its tracks. You can see just how hot this fire is burning. Behind all of the smoke and ash in the air, you can see there are hot spots, there are flames towering hundreds of feet into the air. The blaze here is still very active, still burning very quickly, and of course, very, very dangerous.
Joining me now from Tuolumne, California, at the scene of the wildfire is NBC's news correspondent Jay Gray. Jay, what is the latest from the site of the fire there?
Well, the latest here, Chris, as you talked about, 20% contained. And those images from the air that Miguel provided us, really stunning. The view from the ground for the almost 4,000 firefighters on the front line, overwhelming at this point still. Look, 80% of this fire is still raging and still growing. It swallowed more than 30,000 acres again last night. It is still climbing through this rugged terrain, and there are areas where these firefighters they can't get in to fight the flames. There are towns like this one that are in the potential path of the fire. And right now, the crews that are out and working 24-hour shifts on the front line are making these towns their home. This is a base camp right now. They come back, try and get a couple of hours sleep, get a hot meal when they can, then right back at it because they know the fire is still escalating here.
We saw that incredible footage from Miguel's package there. If you can't get into the actual part of the forest where the fire is burning, how do you go about even fighting it?
Yeah, well, that's why they have crews out ahead of this fire where they can, digging out containment lines, cutting down trees, dragging out the dried out brush that is there fueling this fire, trying to draw a line literally in the forest if they can. The problem is the winds, Chris, keep kicking up, sometimes gusting over 40 miles an hour, shifting the flames, so it's running in every direction and pulling these embers out of the fire, throwing them sometimes a mile away, starting a spot blaze that can really extend the fire, and that's been a major issue.
You've been covering wildfires across the country this summer. At one point, there were 50 wildfires burning at the same time in 11 different states. How bad has this season been, and why is it so bad?
You know what's amazing, Chris, is right now the acreage burned is not nearly as bad as it has been in other seasons. The problem is these are explosive fires, again, driven by these winds that jump around and really require more manpower, more power from the air when possible to put them out. So it's really stretching things, including, as you discussed earlier, the budget to its limit. It's been a tough go. It's only predicted to get rougher, not only here, but the season is still in full swing. One firefighter telling me a couple of days ago, we're really just at the peak of all this. They expect to be fighting fires for a long time.
Do we have the capacity we need to deal with seasons like this and seasons that we may see in the future as we may see more wildfires?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are of the same thought that these fires are going to get worse as we move forward. what they'll tell you from the level of administrators all the way to the guys on the front line is we will do what we have to put these fires out, to get them in control and put them out. But you got to wonder at some point, Chris, where does it all end? How far can they go? Look, even when this fire was 100% contained, and just this one of, like you said, dozens burning right now, it's only contained. It's not out. That's going to take a long time. In certain areas, they'll be working well through the fall to get this thing out and mop things up.
NBC's news correspondent Jay Gray, thank you so much.
Thanks, Chris.
Reporting from the front line of the climate disaster era. Kids in this country are getting diseases that doctors haven't ever seen because they were supposed to be wiped out by vaccinations years ago. Well, that's all changing. We'll be right back with that story.